Okay, good morning, everyone. First, I want to invite the ambassador of Australia to Mongolia, Katie Smith, thank you for joining us on this day to talk about Australia Awards. My name is Balor. I'm connecting from the United States. I believe that some of you may not know me. I am the founder and director of Monused, which is a mentorship program that I direct. And as part of our 2024 goal is to invite foreign ambassadors in a webinar sessions to talk about educational relations between Mongolia and the country. So in this case, this will be Australia Awards, which I think in the past 10 years, a lot of students have beginning to really compete for the scholarship. And so I hope that this webinar would be beneficial to many of the students who's planning on applying either this year or next year. I also think this might be beneficial for the students who got rejected as well, because they're always wondering, what did I do wrong? Is it the major? Is it my English level? So I hope that we get to address some of those questions. So today's webinar is going to be approximately around 45 minutes to an hour. I'm going to start with Ambassador Smith, ask about Australia Awards. What is it about? How many students have applied so far? And then we're going to go to Mrs. Inhe, who is a country manager for the Australia Awards. And we also have special guest Mukhbayir, who recently graduated from Australian National University. So hopefully he can answer some questions about living in Australia, applying for the Australian Awards, etc., etc. So, Ambassador Smith, well, welcome to our webinar. And let's start with you. Let me see. Okay, why study in Australia? So would you give us and the people who are watching, what is Australia Awards? Who applies? How long has the Australia Awards been going on, and what its globally impact? How many students have applied? How many students have applied from Mongolia? What's the success rate? Could you just give a little bit of background on the Australia Awards itself, please?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Bolord. I hope you can all hear us, and hi to all of the potential applicants and current students and employees who are there on the line as well. And I also want to thank Enki and Mukbaya for joining me today. I think it's a really great initiative that you've started, Bolord, to get the word out there a little bit more and to have that sort of face-to-face interaction or virtual interaction with potential applicants so they can learn a little bit more about the program. So I guess, first of all, the Australia-Mongolia relationship, it's really a strong relationship. It's at a high point right now. And I would say education is certainly one of those cornerstones. It's really at the heart of our relationship. Globally, the Australia Awards, it's been a very long-running program for Australia. It really has its foundations in the Colombo Plan, which was started in the 1950s. Australia took in students from across mostly Asia at that time, but of course expanded across the Pacific and as well as Africa. So many years, Australia has had a firm policy of investing in the human capability of potential current and future leaders across the globe. It is part of our development program, so we really do target people who are focused on reducing poverty, enhancing prosperity, enhancing stability, and for those that can come back and take a role in the development of a country. I like to talk about the origins in Mongolia. So the modern day sort of Australia Awards started here in Mongolia 30 years ago now. We celebrated the 30-year anniversary of the Australia Awards last year. It was a wonderful story about how it started here. It was both our foreign ministers, Mongolian Foreign Minister Gomsoren and Australian Foreign Minister Gareth Evans at the time. They were in a regional meeting. They were on a plane. They happened to be sitting next to each other, and they really developed a firm firm bond and a firm friendship. And so one of the ways that they chatted about how Australia could help Mongolia as it was embarking on its transition to democracy was to invest in its people, to invest in its youth, to bring them to Australia to learn, to get those degrees in Australia and bring them back to Mongolia, bring back that expertise. And so they, on a little napkin, they did a written agreement that we would start the scholarships program, and later that year it was firmed up in an MOU. And so this is way back in 1993, and the first cohort started in January 1994, and that was six scholarships awardees at that time. So and we still see these first six around Ulaanbaatar today. So it's really been an amazing story. And since then, almost 750 Mongolians have received awards under the Australia Awards program, and they've all come back and made such an amazing contribution to Mongolia. They really are strong leaders in the public sector, the private sector, the civil society. So we're so proud of them. Of course, it's really been a mutually beneficial program as well. It certainly strengthens our bilateral relationship, particularly those people-to-people connections. The Mongolians that do come back, they're firm advocates for Australia. They've had an amazing experience in Australia, and they really believe in the relationship. But it's also strengthened the economic relationship, I believe, as well. You'll see these graduates go back to Australia. They have firm linkages not only with their universities but with private sector. So they're certainly working very much in that economic connections way as well. In terms of, I guess, numbers, look, it is, I guess, it is a global program. It's a prestigious program. It's a competitive program. I would say thousands apply annually. We, at the global level, around 2,700 people get accepted each year. And that's across, I would say, probably across about 40 countries, 14 Asian countries, 14 Pacific countries, and about 24 African countries as well. Look, we're really proud to say as well that the average number of women that get accepted is also around 60%, but for Mongolia, it's much higher. Again, it's around 70%. On average. So look, it is a competitive program. There is certain criteria, and we can talk more about that later, about what that criteria is to apply. We would say since the Colombo Plan, so since the 50s, over 100,000 people globally have studied under the scheme. So it's becoming a big scheme. Lots and lots of networks formed as well. And this is why as well we continue to invest when people come back in the alumni. Annually here in Mongolia, we have been, again, really pleased for this year that we have increased our number of scholarships. So this year we offered 15 scholarships, and our academic year is different. It's well, it's January to December, but the uni really starts around February, March. So our first cohort for this year has just left as well. So we are very soon to open the application process on the 1st of February for 2025 intake. And we will probably be looking to increase the numbers again for the next year. So fingers crossed we can do that. I guess a couple of key points. We really do encourage people with a disability to apply, those in regional and rural areas to apply as well. There's a couple of other criteria for our scholarships program here. It's for master's study. And that could be master's research or coursework. People must be employed for 2 years and be currently employed before they apply. And our intake is 50% for government and 50% for the private sector as well. So it's really open. There are a few areas where we prioritise. We work very closely with the Mongolian government to work out where their priorities are. And there are things like agriculture, climate change, STEM, of course, is a big one now. Obviously, public sector, health, education, science. Those are the key areas. I hope I've answered a few of your questions as an introduction, but yeah, please keep asking those questions, and happy to provide further details.
Thank you, Ambassador Smith. I think you've covered most of the important parts. I'm just going to ask you one more specific one. I think a lot of the students are interested in learning is, can students work and study in Australia? And this may related to immigration policies. In the US, if you're a foreign student, you cannot work. I think in Australia, are you able to work?
Yes, that's right. It is always a question of interest, but yes, in Australia, you can work under the student visa. It's up to 48 hours per fortnight. And of course, in study break time, you can work as much as you like as well. So look, we do encourage that. We think it's part of the experience of studying in Australia is to get that work experience, whether it's related directly to your degree or it's an area unrelated. But the students that I've spoken to who have taken on a job, of course, they're very careful to balance their work and study, but they feel like the work experience has rounded out their experience in Australia because they get to meet very much different people. Different Australians experience the everyday working life in Australia. I guess the other benefit as well of that visa is that the students can take their families to Australia, so they can take their spouses and they can take their children. The children go to school and the spouses are able to work as well. So it's a benefit not just for the student, but for the family. And they get just such an amazing and rounded experience because of it.
Thank you. Thank you very much for clarifying that. Okay, Ambassador Smith, I think we're going to move on to Ms. Inge, who is a country manager. I think the questions pertain to her will be more about the application process. And as the ambassador has mentioned, the 2025 cohorts applications are opening in February, right? Is that what you said, February 1st? Okay, so for those of you who are applying for 2025, the application is coming up, and the ones that for this year just left, right? Okay. Mrs. Inge, thank you for joining us. And we have a couple of questions regarding the bulletin points. So I'm going to just ask you one at a time. I think what is really important for students to focus on when they're applying for, what is the application process? Obviously, it's essays, English score. Does choosing universities and programs, does it play in as part of the application, and work and study? And the last question is repeat applications. If a student has been rejected for the last time, can she or he apply again? How many times can they apply if they keep getting rejected? So yeah, whichever answer you want to start with.
Thank you, Bolo, and thank you for inviting us for this webinar. And hopefully this is going to be the great start for the promotion of Australia Awards. As Her Excellency said, that application will open from 1st of February for 2025 intake, and it will close on the 30th April. So really, application will stay open for 3 months to give, quite flexible time for all these applications, complete, the application with great detail and great attention. And so the process, whole application process is online. So it's really, applicant's responsibility to fill out the application in time and correct and, with the great details. So how they manage it is really up to the applicant's own responsibility to complete the application. I mean, Australia Awards in general, as Ambassador said, it's open for almost 40 countries. And so we have general criteria which anyone can access online. However, for Mongolian applicants, we have 3 main selection criteria that people need to consider. One being, yes, IELTS score, which again, can be compensated by TOEFL or PTE scores as well. So for us, IELTS score is reasonably low compared to many, English-speaking countries' scholarships. So IELTS score of overall 6.0 and band score of 5.5 is eligible for applicants at this stage. And then next thing is, as Ambassador said, it's for the master's degree. So we require people to have bachelor qualification and with the GPA overall of 3.0. That mainly applies for the Mongolian universities. So if any applicant who studied overseas, wants to convert that, they can, ask the university, or they can contact the Ministry of Education and Science in Mongolia and get that conversion. So it's also available online as well. And then next thing is we again, want to contribute back to Mongolia. So, we really want the people like Munkoy who comes back and starts his job straight away. So we require work experience. And so at this moment, our work experience requirement is for continuous 2 years employment of, last 2 years in Mongolia. Unless it's a diplomat, mission overseas, we, want to select people who has been living and working in Mongolia for the last 2 years continuously. So this scholarship is really for, contributing to the development of Mongolia. And so we really want these people to be, focusing on what they can do when they, get this qualification from Australia and what they want, and how they want to use that qualification when they return. And that's where you could probably say we have to write reintegration plan, which has the template on Australia Awards website and Facebook, and social media, pages that is available. And so you just have to fill it out according to the template. Main thing is, how you want to use this qualification and what are the challenges you foresee, in implementing those tasks. And also in application, there are 4 questions that, requires you to write the essay in a short format. There is a word limitation, so you have to be really, brave and bright of choosing the, best answers for that limited capacity. Another thing is Australia has 42 universities, and you can, under Australia Awards, really, you can choose any degree from those universities and programs. At this moment of time, there are over 22,000, master's programs that Australia Awards students can pick and choose in any field. Australia Awards Mongolia has no limitation for study areas other than only, 2 areas, politics and, special force people cannot apply for their own fields. So other than that, it's really flexible. And again, how you choose the universities or programs, it's again up to the applicant and it's their own responsibility. The information is limitless online. So all the universities have their own websites with the great detail of the master's programs, as well as there is a combined one program and a website called Krikos. So you can pick and choose, and go and study deep on the programs. It's again, one of the criteria to be successful for this application is how much you studied about your program. The program that, we advise to pick and choose is mainly really to meet your requirement of what skills and what areas you want to study instead of how good that university or program ranked in worldwide, So we really want people to be pragmatic as well as really, hands-on choosing their programs. Australia Awards is very generous program, I have to say, as Her Excellency again said, that you can work and study at the same time, and especially for spouses, the spouses can work full time while they're in Australia if they can manage their family and children's situation. And children can study in public schools also free of charge. And even kids in the kindergarten or childcare can get the a welfare compensation as well. So it's really generous program. It's happy to say you can repeat the application as many times as you like. We even have an experience of people, got successful on the 6th application over 10 years. Not something to be proud of, but definitely it's a merit-based application and selection process. So, people can repeat as many times as they like. But again, we believe that each repeat is the improvement in the the quality of the application. So we really, the selection process is again, lots of it is online with huge participation from the Australian academics, independent academics, reading and ranking the application process. So it's really based on 3 criteria, how the application to be selected. One is academic merit, if these people, applicants can study in Australia successfully is definitely one area. And second is actually leadership qualities. So, with the qualification and skills and knowledge that they obtain from Australia, if they can bring it back to, Mongolia and apply it, how can you do it? Do you already have these skills or do you need to, get those skills up in Australia again? So you need to really have a reflection on yourself, the applicants, and, have the thorough understanding. And again, as I mentioned earlier before, the development outcome is the 3rd criteria for the selection. What and how you want to use those skills and knowledge when you come back to Mongolia. And so, what you want to contribute to and what kind of changes you expect to happen and how you are going to make it. So really, real questions and real reflection on yourself will make you successful for the application. Hope my answers were enough and not too long.
No, you did great. You actually summarized one of the most important parts, that when students apply for, and this is not just Australia Awards, when they apply for Chevening in UK or Fulbright, they tend to look at the universities and they state it in the essays. Oh, Oxford is great. Oh, Harvard is a prestigious school. But as Ms. Inge said, you have to study the programs. Why are you studying this program? Why do you qualify for this program? Because you have to apply for the program too. So you're basically applying for the awards as well as multiple programs. So you have to do some soul searching, and then you have to write it. You have got to write it in the integration plan, as Ms. Inge said. Thank you so much. And for the students who did not get the scholarship last couple of years, you can try as much as you want. So, great, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, our next speakers is Mukhbair. Thank you for coming in and joining us today. And you are Australia Awards alumna who just graduated from Australian National University. Could you give a little bit of your academic background? What was your bachelor's degree? I think this is important because sometimes when people are applying for master's degrees, they change majors, and a lot of the students are not sure if choosing major will affect the fact that you're going to get the scholarship or you get into the master's program. So let's start from your bachelor's background, please.
Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone, and thank you very much for having me today. And I'd like to, utilize this opportunity to express my gratitude for the Australian government and also Australian ambassador and Australian Awards Mongolia team for this scholarship opportunity I had, and this opportunity really helped me to grow professionally and also academically, and also in terms of personal life. And so that was amazing experience back in Australia. And I just graduated last December and returned home a few weeks ago. My background is that I graduated University of Finance and Economics in Mongolia. My bachelor degree is in business economics, and right after that, I was working in the Bank of Mongolia as an economist in different departments for some time, and yeah, and then I decided to apply for this Australian scholarship because for me it was easy to choose the university and also program because I studied in Crawford School in Master of International Development Economics, and this program is really linked to my professional career and also the professional goal, and also the university is, I mean, especially Crawford University School is very reputable in this field and in public policy as well. So the choosing program was very easy for me, and but the important thing is you know, the little bit advice is that for the applicant, your goal in terms of your educational goal and also professional goal should be very clear, and it also should be very linked to your program that you're choosing. And I think in that case, I think it's very easy to write your reintegration plan, and also answer these application questions. And well, I have so many details in terms of, you know, application process and also moving to this Australian during this study process. But I think that will take so long to cover all these details. And if you have more questions, please feel free to ask me.
Okay. I'm going to ask you actually a couple of questions. I think these are important because you have gone through the application process. So what was the most challenging part of the application process, and how did you prepare for it?
Well, as I mentioned, I think the most important part is your professional goal, and that should be, you know, the very clear in your reintegration plan, because in my understanding, the goal of this program is to help the young professionals to grow academically and professionally. So your goal should be very clear, and you have to know your problem, and you have to look for the solution for this problem, and therefore the choosing program and also study field should be the link to your professional goal, and the organizing your essay is very important for this application process. I think it's in my experience, and but once you accept for this application, I think the rest is very clear, because we had the Australian Awards Mongol team here, and also Australian Awards team in Australia in your university, and these people, these two teams helps you a lot, and they provide every information you need, and then they prepare you in every step. So you don't need to worry about any preparation to moving to Australia, but you only have to focus on your application. I think that's more important.
Great, thank you. Our next question is, when you choose your program, did you choose one program or did you choose multiple programs? And when you choose that program, did you choose a program that gave you working some sort of a experience opportunity, or how did you choose that program?
Well, my first choice was very clear, and because in my the work the field of work, you know, I know so many Australian alumni who also graduated these programs, and I had so many information and advice from them. And also, when I look at this program, that was very linked to my professional goals. So the choosing program was easy process for me, and I had this program as a first choice, but you have to provide the second and third choice. And I was looking at the other schools and other programs, and I chose the second and third programs that very closer to my first choice, and I chose similar programs for the other choices. Yeah.
Thank you. Could you tell the students a little bit more about the short-term and long-term plans that's included in the essay? What were the challenges? What student needs to focus on when they're writing this integration plan?
Well, for me, I had the working experience in Bank of Mongolia for nearly 10 years, and I know what is the weakness of this in this field, and I was focusing on these weaknesses, and I was trying to look for the solution for these weaknesses, and what would be the best way to improve these weaknesses, and I focused on this particular the problems, and I was trying to link all this program coverage, and also professors, the research field, and also my background, and I was trying to connect all of them and put them into the integration plan, and yeah, there's my experience.
Great, thank you. So you just graduated from Australia National University, and what's after for you? Are you back in Mongolia? Are you already employed? Are you doing what you said you were going to do? I'm asking this because a lot of the students had worry about what they write in the essay of the implementation, what's the plan, whether it's implementable or not, and after they get back, do they have to do it?
Well, my reintegration plan was really connected to my former job, and I was trying to look at the other countries' experience in this field, and right after the graduation, I came to Mongolia, and I had a meeting with my former the workplace, and I introduced what I learned from the Australian National University, and I mean, less than 2 weeks, I went back to my work, and yeah, I already just started my working.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, we have, I think, about 20 minutes left for our webinar. I'm going to go straight to our Q&A. What I can do is I have 5 questions here, but I have 5 more written down. It came a little bit later. I'm going to just ask the question and leave it up to the ambassador and Mukhbayir and Inge, whoever wants to answer amongst the 4 of us. I'm sure we can answer some of the questions. Okay, so question 1 is, how much major matter in the application selection process?
Oh, let NK answer that one. Had a lot of experience.
As I mentioned earlier, the major or the chosen programs are not in the selection criteria. And so key areas are definitely in academic merits and leadership qualities and development outcome. So my brief and short answer to that is it does not matter as long as it's chosen from the criteria for the qualified international students in a master's program.
Thank you. Second question is, I think you might have you might have touched on the score, but how much does the IELTS score matter in the application selection process? I want to elaborate on this because some of the students are asking separate score questions. Like certain programs in Australia would require certain level of score, and Australia Awards require different score. So could you explain what's the difference, and for the application process, which score matters the most?
Yeah, again, IELTS score of course matters as long as you pass IELTS 6.0 with a band score of 5.5. So anything above that, it does not weigh in a selection process. However, there are, yes, high requirements for the master's degrees in Australian universities. So that's why Australia Awards offer English language training program in UB. So all this, successful, it's only for the successful applicants who met, initial that IELTS 6.0 score requirement. Then we offer up to 3 months of English language training, depending on the people's needs. It could be full-time, part-time, by the local service provider here in UB. And if it's, for example, rural applicant, we invite them to come to UB and stay here to attend that ELT. And even if required, we cover some of their costs. So this English language training is actually compulsory for all these, applicants who has score of IELTS 6.0, because minimum English language requirement for the master's degree is 6.5, and there are specific courses, for example, law degrees or executive MBAs or finances, or some social sciences and psychology, and those courses require definitely higher, and some of them even have IELTS 7.5 with the band score no less than 7. So in this courses, we provide the support through this English language training to improve the English capacity. Again, for those preparing for the application, 6.5 even is again not enough for studying in Australia. So in this virtual world, please go and improve your English language capacity as much as you can, because this will help you in any way on your long journey. It might not get you Australia Awards, but it might get you a different path and different qualification and different opportunity for you definitely. So don't stick to only IELTS score, but in the selection process, English is not considered as a selection criteria. Even a person with IELTS 9 could still be lost for the IELTS 6.0 person. So English is not a requirement for the selection.
And is there sort of special dispensation for rural students or those with a disability? Do they have different targets?
Yes, we this scholarship is actually very inclusive. We are probably one of the scholarship programs that provided large number of scholarships to the rural candidates and people with disability. We used to have a bit lower requirement of IELTS. However, nowadays all our IELTS requirements are same for these people. But with the people with disability, we have softer work experience requirement. And so people with disability can apply for Australia Awards without any work experience, should they be meeting other 2 requirements.
Thank you for adding that. That's I think that's a new information that a lot of the students does not know. My third question I have is, I think this maybe Ambassador Smith can answer to this one. I understand the Australia Awards is specifically for master's program, but generally does Australia offer any scholarship or financial awards for bachelor's degrees for students that are just graduated from high school and they want to get their bachelor's in Australia?
Yes, thanks very much for the question. Of course, the Australia Awards is absolutely focused on master's degrees for us. It's again because they are development scholarships, and we believe they're the level of people that can come back and contribute to the development of Mongolia. However, there are multiple programs offered by universities in Australia. So I guess there's first one other government scholarship targeted at international students, and that's called Destination Australia program. And that's really targeted to rural and regional areas of Australia. And it's really to boost those numbers in those rural areas as well. So we're happy to provide some more details of that one, the links to that program as well. It's again, it's not a development program, so it's competitive. It's targeted at any international student or any domestic student. So, and it's probably not as comprehensively supported, obviously, as the Australia Awards, but that targets people from Certificate 4 level. So that is a technical vocational level all the way through to PhDs as well. And that's just to make that sort of balance in Australian universities. But beyond that, I would say majority of Australian universities also offer some form of scholarship or subsidies as well. Again, they're probably not as comprehensive as and supportive as our Australia Awards, but certainly some of them are very, very generous. Most of them are merit-based. But one particular university comes to mind, and that's Macquarie University in Sydney, and that offers $10,000 every year to every Mongolian that is successful in their application to that university. So yeah, some really, really generous and positive offerings there, I think, for Mongolian students. Sometimes it takes just a little bit of research, I think, as well, to go to the university and see. Again, I think Mugbai had it right when he said, look at the course that you want, look what's going to help you in your future, and then you can work through what the scholarship sort of options are for you.
Right. What about PhD? Does Australia offer scholarships for postgraduate degrees? Such as, is there any awards that specifically for PhDs?
Again, I think for me, it would be looking at those different options that I just talked about. So the Destination Australia does offer a handful of PhDs. Again, some specific universities as well do offer full scholarships for PhDs. Not under our Australia Awards program, though. We did in the past. Yeah, it has happened in the past. But at the moment, again, for that sort of real return for us, we have decided to target the master's level. So it is postgraduate degrees, but it's master's level for us. But again, there are multiple options for those really wanting to pursue PhDs. I personally know a handful of Mongolian PhD students who are studying in Australia at the moment. Majority of these actually already did their masters in Australia and then just found a passion for their certain area, found a great supervisor, and have managed to make it work with the university. So there are some really, really wonderful examples.
Yeah, and Australia Awards master students are, again, could be given the opportunity to upgrade their degree to PhD, especially those studying masters by research, if the funding comes from the university. In most cases, universities have been offering PhD scholarships for these instances.
That's great. I actually had a question about that. A student was asking that she or he had an MBA, but wanted to do PhD straight from after getting the master's. So it is doable. There's a program that could support that endeavor. Okay, very good. My next question, maybe he can answer, how much of the application selection depends on the university choice or program? I think the confusion is students are trying to decide, do they apply for the program before they apply for the Australia Awards or afterwards or at the same time?
As Mongolia clearly, described that you do not need to apply for the university program or course before you apply for Australia Awards. It's merely that, you go and study the university and courses, and rank them by your choice in the application. So in Australia Awards application, you can pick as many courses and choices in universities. However, for the selection, you would only look up for the first two choices if it really meets your integration plan, and why did you select that course, and is it going to really give you the enough knowledge and skill that's lacking while you are working in Mongolia. So the short answer to this is no, university choice or program does not weigh anything on the selection during the for the Australia Awards. However, of course, choosing the right course for your reintegration plan is definitely key to implement your reintegration plan and meet your development outcome criteria for the selection.
Thank you. Okay, I have 5 more questions I have written down here. This student wants to know, what if the student had already been accepted to other foreign scholarships? Does that affect?
Yes, we only accept awardees that are already we only accept we only, I guess I have to say, ask the applicants to accept one scholarship at a time.
Okay.
And so anyone who accepted the scholarship prior to either the application of Australia Awards or during the selection of the Australia Awards, these people will disqualify during the selection, if not at the application stage.
Okay, thank you. And I had a student here said that, I think you answered the question. I studied for a master's degree with the Chinese government scholarship. Can I apply postgraduate scholarship again?
No.
Yeah, I think Inge just said no. Because
Especially bilateral government scholarships, we do not accept application from these candidates. And another thing is, again, we ask, and it's in Australia Awards application declaration, that we want all applicants to be true and honest and answer all questions in the application. And so we require people to declare their previous experience. And if it is bilateral government scholarship for the postgraduate level, then no, Government of Australia, Government of Mongolia do not accept to give, I guess, more and double opportunities for, one person, because we have many other people who doesn't have that opportunity. And so we want to be more, I guess, open and transparent for those who are seeking for the first opportunity.
Right. Okay. Another question is, this student already has a master's and wants to get a second master's, but in Australia. Can this student apply?
As I mentioned earlier, the person should apply from Mongolia and having an experience of living and working in Mongolia for the last 2 years. If that person studied in Australia 20 years ago and his or her own expense, probably yes, application is open for those. However, not applicants should not have previous bilateral government scholarship, and also they should be living and working in Mongolia at the time of the application.
My next question pertains to gender. This student wants to know if gender would matter, like if it's a she or a he, would that matter? I think the ambassador included disability as a special category, but are there any specific numbers that, like 5 women versus 10 males?
No, we don't have quotas for women or men. It's certainly open in terms of gender, but the trend has been for Mongolia, and I think we view that reflects sort of, I guess, the broader Mongolian population as well, for those who are interested in further tertiary study. It has been majority women, around 70%, I would say, on average. Some years differ, but yes, of course, we encourage both men and women to apply, absolutely.
And yes, we've definitely been short of male applicants, unlike but yes, we definitely encourage everyone to apply. Male applicants tend to be a little slack, even when it comes to completing the application, being a bit thorough, detail oriented in such areas. So if there are any male potential applicants listening here, pay attention to what you are doing when you are filling out the application.
Yes, I actually agree, because I never had a male mentee before. They're all females. Where are all the guys? Do you guys not want to study? Okay, I have two more questions left. This student has a really low IELTS score and has not improved, but has more work experience. Is there any chance that she would still get the scholarship based on her work experience, not on her English level test?
The eligibility criteria is set, and there is no flexibility around it. I would encourage that person to get up and study his or her English. And so there are many opportunities to improve your English, and hopefully you will get there one day. And age does not matter as well. So sometimes people say, I'm 40 and I can't learn English. No, it's possible. We had even applicants over 50 years of age, and they were successful, studied, and they came back and working very hard in Mongolia. So learning English at any age in any sector nowadays is not the huge challenge. So hope your English will improve and your work experience will pay off to be successful for Australia Awards one day.
Right, right. And you have to speak English if you're going to study in foreign country anyway, so I don't see why you wouldn't study, right? Okay, my last question pertains to work and study again. Can the student stay in Australia and work after they graduate instead of coming back to Mongolia? What's the opportunities there?
So I can start, but I can certainly add, for the Australia Awards, again, it is as I mentioned, it is a development scholarship. So we do want people to come back to Mongolia after they study. So they must return to Mongolia under the Australia Awards program for a 2-year period. And then they're free to move around again. Of course, if you're studying under other scholarships, or if you're studying, if you're a self-funded student, those requirements are not there, and there are certainly opportunities to stay and work in Australia, particularly in the areas in Australia that are in high demand for those specializations. But certainly under the Australia Awards scholarships program, the goal is to get these leaders coming back and really putting that knowledge that they learned back into Mongolia.
Yeah, what was the word from the student contact officer when you submitted your last exam, Mongolia?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot the words I was going to say. That just came out of my mind.
But they definitely need to depart as soon as the exams or last assignments are submitted.
Yeah.
And they have to contribute to the development of Mongolia. And so staying overstay after Australia Awards can create huge problems, including the Commonwealth debt for whole scholarship, or again, breaking that rule for 2 years, trying to return to Australia or New Zealand can again cause the same issue. And so therefore, all Australia Awards. I'm actually really proud to say that over 750 Australia Awards alumni have returned to Mongolia with no problem. The exceptions only been, a few people when they offered work visa and, their organization sponsored to pay their Commonwealth debt had happened in only actually a couple of occasions. But other than that, they all returned like Mukbayar, follow the rule, come to Mongolia, start their work within 2 weeks. And getting employed actually upon return is another big challenge for Australia Awards graduates, if not too.
That just reminded my words. Actually, when I just finished my study in the end of November, we had the rule to go back to the country within 30 days. But I couldn't wait that long to return to Mongolia because once you have very clear the goal both professionally and personally, and I think I'm focusing on that goal, and the Australian Awards scholarship already helped me to study and to have some connections in Australian community, and that already helped me. And then there's no the strong reason to stay for long in Australia than they're pursuing my goal back in Mongolia. So I would highly encourage the young professionals to study in Australia, but return back to Mongolia to work in your field and grow in the future.
Yes, thank you for highlighting that. I think a lot of the people do not understand that Australia Awards is a developmental scholarship, that you're not just applying for 100% scholarship, you're actually trying to make a difference at a master's level, whether it's policy or you're trying to do something else better for society. So in terms of applying for the scholarship, it is a developmental scholarship, and I appreciate all you three for clarifying that again and again. This is not just some regular scholarship offering from a university. So I want to thank you for Ambassador Katie Smith for joining us today and clarifying a lot of the details about scholarship. And I think a lot of the students also had questions about bachelor's and PhD. We also covered it. And thank you for Inhui for covering many of the English requirements, application requirements, essays, and all the things that students need to really think hard. It's part of the journey you have to do soul search, and why are you trying to study? What are you trying to change? So it's a really important aspect of the application itself. And Mukbayar, thank you for sharing your personal experience, which is important because a lot of the students that are applying for the program and the awards, hopefully they will be going to Australia, and I hope they have learned something from your experience as well. So this includes our webinar for Australia Awards 2024, and thank you so much again. I hope we have answered some of your questions. I know everyone has a lot of separate different questions, but I hope we covered some of the general most important ones. Would you guys like to say anything else for the watchers?
Oh, yes, thank you so much again for everyone for tuning in. All the best, good luck in your applications. I will just get Enki to direct you to the right website where you can find all of these details and sort of start your applications on the 1st of February.
Yep, it's www.Australia Awards Mongolia, all in one word, .org. And so all information is up there, updated or getting updated even today. And there is also, social media, Facebook page, Australia Awards Scholarships Mongolia. Also we have office in Central Tower on the 5th floor. come and visit, get their personal, information and consultation, and we'll have many, in-person information sessions, not only in UB, but also outside UB as well. And so come and attend and come and ask questions. People like Monkfire, they will also be at those information sessions, and they are willing to help and provide you their personal experience and consultation for completing the application. So all these 750 people are our great support group to make our next applicants successful.
Very good. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Great. Thank you so much as well. See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you later.
For organizing it.